Just to speak about where our relationship was before Hope Weekend was a disaster. It was definitely a struggle. We were trying to make things work. He was in a regeneration program at the time before Hope Weekend, and me and the kids were at home, so we were completely separated. And we were going out visiting every weekend, but it was still definitely a struggle, and just trying to figure out how we were going to make it through what we were in at the time. So we definitely were trying to figure out how to make it work, but we were completely separated at the moment.
Yeah, so before the Hope Weekend, like she said, I had lost everything. Like, I had lost my career, I had lost my family, and I didn't think there was any more hope. There was hope for nothing for me.
I really, going into that Hope Weekend, the expectation, I really didn't have a lot of expectations. I was pretty far down the hole with struggling to think about how we were going to end up and where we were going to end up when he finished the regeneration program that he was in, because it was basically a year. And I just, I wanted to give it a try and do what I could to try to make things work out, but my expectations were pretty low. I didn't know what to expect, and it was just, I wanted to be open and honest, because before it was very secretive about what our lives were like, with him being an alcoholic and the struggles that we went through. Just before that, we really no one ever really knew what we had been going through. And I just felt like that might have been the time that somebody would be there to help us walk through conversations and communicate, instead of it being an argument and not being heard. And I think that just really was the hope going into that, and not really having an expectation.
My expectations going into it was maybe we would find something that would help us, and that we could have what I would thought was a normal marriage again. And but I really wasn't. I didn't think that it would help. I didn't like being open, I didn't like being vulnerable, and I didn't think with my past and what I had done to our marriage that there was really anything that could be done about it. That it was just, at that time, it was what it was. I had made those mistakes, and I didn't think that they could be corrected or fixed, and that we were just pretty much going, but I didn't see where there would be any reason. Knowing that there was a coach there, it being Jimmy, that had walked through something so similar to me and was in that situation. And once we started doing some of the skills and having Jimmy as our coach, because I was a mess. I was weaponizing everything, but to have somebody that could stand up to me and stop me from doing that during that skill, it was very hard and very difficult. But that was one thing that helped us feel more comfortable in that process, was how similar their story was, but also how Jimmy could keep me from weaponizing things and being that control and manipulative person that I was in our marriage.
I think before it just was a back and forth with just me and him communicating with no one from the outside to help. And it's so hard to see when the other person's telling you something is a certain way or saying, hey, you're weaponizing that. But when it's coming from a third party that hasn't been in your situation as far as at home with you, and they're saying, hey, try to change how you're speaking, or, do this instead, was very helpful. And once you were able to open up and these people there with you trying to help have been in the same situation and you're not alone, this is not something that they've never been through before, made it more comfortable.
I don't know. There was
a lot of moments. There was a lot of aha moments.
A lot. Yeah, there was a lot of aha moments for us. And the dirty fighting part was it's like we went through and checked almost everything. I mean,
there was a lot of check marks on that.
We were some dirty fighters. And to see it on papers, somebody can tell you're something, but then when you actually take a little quiz and you see it on paper, it's a different feeling to look at something versus somebody just saying, oh, you fight dirty.
Well, especially when you're checking your own blocks and you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And then you see all the things you've checked, and to really take that in and think about how you've been behaving like yourself. You check those blocks, and then you're seeing it, and then you're having to share it with each other. And there's an accountability there that you're holding to yourself once you have to look at all the things you've checked and that how you've been acting.
During Hope Weekend, I learned about myself that I could change, that I could be a good husband, and that I could be that family man that I really deep down wanted to be.
I think what surprised me about myself was as strong. I was very surprised that I was as strong as what I was. That I had felt for so long that I was weak, sticking around, going through something that I felt like I didn't have to, and why was I doing that? But at the end of it all, it really showed me how strong I was to stick it out and go through what I did. And because I did that, the outcome has, turned into something that I feel like God wanted in the end. And for us to have a marriage that, He intended for us.
I think people look at a Hope Weekend or like marriage counseling as such a negative thing of our marriage is in trouble, we need it. But you're fighting for your marriage when you go, and that's not a negative thing to fight for your marriage. It's easy to get a divorce and let it go, but it's harder to fight for it than it is to let it go.
Yeah, and I would definitely want to share, that there's others, including us, that's been in similar situations, and definitely it was difficult to be open and share, but knowing that, the people around you have been through similar situations, and, that you're not the only one. I think with that understanding, it will definitely help people open up and get through, and learn through the Hope Weekend.
We're Trent and Christine Register. We have been married for 17 years. And Hope Weekend definitely saved our marriage.